Hey, what is up? Welcome to this episode of the Entrepreneur to Entrepreneur podcast. As always, I'm your host, Brian Lofermento, and I am so very excited about today's episode because we are joined by truly an incredible global entrepreneur who is helping so many other businesses grow as well. And what I really love about today's guest is I'm a big fan of his business. I cannot stop recommending his business to so many people, and that's why I'm so excited to have him here on the air with us. Let me tell you all about him. His name is Adam Pisk. He is one of the co-founders of BruntWork, which is a fast-growing, remote-only outsourcing company. With over 25 years in sales and operations leadership, Adam has dedicated his career to delivering exceptional value to clients. At BruntWork, they specialize in reducing operational costs by transitioning operations to cost-effective regions like the Philippines, Colombia, and Kenya. Those are intentional. We're going to talk about why those countries here in today's episode. In just over 3 years, they've scaled to thousands of staff members serving clients in 14 countries, including the USA, Canada, Australia, the UK, New Zealand, Singapore, and so many more. Adam excels in driving global market expansions and using consultative selling techniques to boost revenue and build lasting client relationships. His goal is to ensure clients are set up for scalable success and can make a meaningful impact in their markets. And just before I welcome Adam onto the air, I want to tease to you their slogan, their subtitle, I think is so clever. It's very simple. Outsource anything. You're going to see how much that can unlock your business's growth. So I'm not going to say anything else. Let's dive straight into my interview with Adam Pisk. I'm so excited that you're here with us, Adam. It is a joy to have you here on the air. First things first, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much, Brian. Thanks for having me here. It's always great to speak to you.
Heck yes. You already know. I know quite a bit about BruntWork because I love the work that you're all doing, but fill the listeners in. What's the backstory? How'd you get into all these cool things that you're doing?
Yeah. So look, we support about 2,000 companies around the world in almost any industry that you could think of, in almost any role. And that's where the outsource anything really comes into it, because we sort of look at it. It's not that we specialize in, people think of outsourcing, they go, oh, it's admin roles, it's basic bookkeeping. But no, we have executive roles, we have CFOs, we have any role that really doesn't need to be physically present with you. You can outsource anywhere. And now we're in 23 countries around the world is where we have staff. So it's finding whatever role you're looking for and saying, hey, I want the best there is globally in that role. And that's really where we come in.
Yeah, Adam, you're right pointing out that there are all these preconceived notions of what we outsource. And that's why I want to start here, because I think some of the things that a lot of newer entrepreneurs, especially, I know this was my path, at least into outsourcing, is they're super familiar with those websites like Fiverr and Upwork where it's project based. But what I love about BruntWork is you guys don't just view outsourcing as a project based thing. So talk to me about going far beyond just the small projects that we might outsource for $20 one time.
Yeah, well, actually, that's a space we leave to Fiverr and Upwork. We think they do that really well. And if you need a project done, short time, I need my website done, I need someone to do this for a period of time, Fiverr and Upwork are great options for that. Where we come in is actually someone that joins your team, either on a part-time or a full-time basis. So instead of having, I'm going to deal with this person to do this project this week, and then I might need someone else to do that and go on Upwork again. What we do is say, hey, you actually need a role in your organization, and you could have hired this person locally, but actually let's look globally. And often you're saving 70 to 80% on the cost anyway. But not only that, you're getting a global talent base. So it's not so much about the cost saving. Yes, that's a massive thing, but it's actually going, I want the best in the world at what I'm looking for. And that's what we give you the reach for. So it's any role really, but we look for ongoing positions.
Yeah, Adam, as a fellow business owner, it gets me excited because you're right. That's what we all want, is we don't just want someone to help us with social media. We want someone who's amazing at helping us with social media. And I feel like that's the hard part. And just knowing how much you all vet people at BruntWork and how much work your team also puts into the hiring process, because we can call it outsourcing, but we could also call it hiring. And that's one of the most difficult things in all of business. Talk to us about getting the right people for these roles.
Yeah. So Brian, just to give you an idea on scale, just as like, because it's easy to say that, but when you put some numbers to it, you really understand the scope of it. So every month at the moment, we hire about 600 new people, right? So 600 new people every month. Out of that, every new month, we get about 18,000 resumes from agents that want to work for us, right? 18,000 resumes every month. We hire about 600 people. We have 350,000 people that have already filled out all our online testing, aptitude testing, etc. So you think about the numbers of that. So in order to do that successfully and better, well, first of all, that gives us a huge candidate pool. So if you want a social media specialist in what you're looking to do, it's very likely the best in the world have already come to us because we're that large. We've had 30 million views on social media, for example. We've got hundreds of thousands of followers. So we've got the ability to get those people to come to us. And then it's utilizing a big recruiting team, well over 100 people internally in our recruiting team, but some very bespoke AI technology as well that helps match the skills that you want with the type of business that you are, with the culture that you have to get the result. And so to do that at scale, you need very good people, very good processes. And now with AI, we've got some really good smarts behind that as well that even take it to the next level.
Yeah. Hearing you talk about aptitude tests in particular, obviously there's a million different ways to interview someone and gauge their skills. A lot of people now are having example projects and things like that. But I'm going to interject that I think for most of us, when we first start outsourcing things, we go into it with that mindset of, oh, I can train this person. And so, Adam, that's where and why I'll be transparent with you here on the air.
Yeah.
It's why I refer so many people to BruntWork is because you guys have done, or at least found, and actually that's part of my question. Are you helping these people get these skills, or are you finding people with those skills? But on top of that, what's that difference of onboarding someone who comes to you with those skills already? That's to me seems so different than just hopping on Upwork.
Yeah. Yeah. So look, we generally for most roles, we look for people that have the existing skills as much as possible. Now, in saying that, every company is different and the way they utilize someone with skills is different. So you can say, hey, I need someone who knows QuickBooks, who's worked with this type of industry, who understands project costing, because I've got run a construction company. So yeah, we can find someone with that background and with the skills so they know the context and they know the software, but then they don't know your business. So there's a combination, no matter how skilled they are, and we do match for that. We do hire people with those skills. We then need to work with the clients to make sure that they're adapted to that particular business. The other thing, though, is we do have a lot of professional development courses in-house with external institutions as well. And so there is the opportunity to take your staff, and they're at a certain level when you hire them, and then, we can work with the clients and external education to improve their capabilities.
Yeah, Adam, I want to go back to some of those scaling numbers that you threw our way, because I'm grateful that I am not receiving that many resumes and interviews every single month. I'm glad that you all are handling that for all the people and businesses that you serve. But what's that process look like? Since you all are fielding that side of the process, what's the process like for the businesses that tap into BruntWorks talent?
Yeah, look, the thing is, we do it at scale, but it's still a very high touch process. So it's not like on Upwork where you put in a job that you need and then it's up to you. You get 500 people that apply, and then you've got to go through their what their ratings are and how they've pitched to you, and you've got to make the decision. So we're very high touch. Whilst we're still dealing with a lot at scale, you'll work with our sales team who will understand the role specifically, understand the requirements, understand the culture of what you're looking for. That will then go to our recruiting team, and we've got 3 steps in our recruiting process as well, from what we call our sourcing team to our initial recruiters to our end recruiters, to then understand and match that and get the right candidates. We then have an interview specialist team. So we have a whole team. All they do all day is help our clients interview agents to make sure that we have the right fit, right? So we have people that just specialize in that. So it's very high touch from a people perspective, even though we're relying on some pretty high-end technology. And the other thing for us is we take the risk as well as our client. So this is all free, right? The recruiting process is absolutely free and zero obligation. Clients only pay for hours worked once we find you exactly what you're looking for. And if you don't, that cost is on us. Or if we get you the wrong person and you terminate them, that cost is on us. So we're very motivated, like with our clients, to get you the right person at the right price. And if we can't, then we'll replace them. That's at our cost.
Adam, I feel like you're doing part of my job here today because you're dropping all the good nugget bombs without me needing to pull them out of you, because I inevitably wanted to ask you about price. I'm sure it's the one thing that you get asked about all the time. And I'm just going to say this as an end user. You guys are more transparent than pretty much any solution I've ever seen on the marketplace when it comes to pricing. You have a pricing calculator on your website. Now, obviously, I've seen that. Our listeners haven't just yet. Give us some ballparks there, because a lot of people probably wait and hesitate and delay when it comes to outsourcing because they think it's more expensive than it is.
Yeah. Well, look, the thing about it is about 90% of our roles that we hire, and that's at any role, and we have executive roles, range between $5 an hour and $8 an hour. That's about 90% of roles that we hire for. US dollars, by the way. So you could be listening wherever. And we have 7 currencies that we operate in. So if you're listening somewhere else, it's probably a currency that we can work with you on. But that's sort of the pricing range, is $5 to $8 an hour for the majority of roles that are out there. Now, in saying that, there are roles that are more sophisticated. You want an engineer, you want a data scientist, you want a developer. You get what you pay for. And if you want to pay $5 an hour for a developer, you're not going to get a very good developer. So the thing is, we do custom pricing as well, dependent on the exact role that clients are looking for. And my advice on that is majority of between $5 to $8 an hour. But if you look at your business and you look at ROI, really, the difference between someone at $6 and someone at $7.50 can be a lot in terms of capability. But what's the difference really to a business at the end of each month? Not very much. My advice is we give you a range. Get a good person. The difference in price is still way less than you would pay locally. You've got a motivated person, and generally the difference in price, which is not very much between someone at a mid-level and someone at a high level, it's worth the investment to get someone at that high level. There's just a much better return. So that's sort of average pricing, but it's bespoke.
Yeah, which speaks to, one of your biggest unfair advantages, which you're, of course, aware of because it's very intentional on the way that you all have grown your business and how you help other businesses grow, is tapping into that global landscape, that global marketplace of talented labor. Adam, as someone, I've outsourced in so many different countries. I've found great people all over the world because talent isn't unique to within any specific border. Talk to us about that global marketplace, because a lot of people are probably hesitant or they've never dipped their toes into that.
Yeah, and this is the thing, you look at, we're in an age where there's global conflict and issues. Business really brings people together because it really says, I need a great person, and we're in 23 countries with all different religions, cultures, etc., and you can get great people in every single one of them. And so the point is that I suppose there are different specializations, different time zones within different countries, but more for us, there are a lot of roles where you could hire anywhere in the 23 countries. You need an admin assistant. Let's get you the best admin assistant out there. It doesn't mean that the Philippines or Colombia or Kenya, the 3 countries that you mentioned before, have any real advantage on that. Where there is some localization and some advantages, if you need English in another language, that then reduces it. You need English and French, English and Spanish, English and Arabic, English and Mandarin or Cantonese. That will reduce the countries that we hire out of. But for a lot of roles, it just gives us much more depth of candidates to go, where are the best we can get globally for these roles? Sure, there are also some roles where accounting and bookkeeping, particularly if you need to speak English, harder to find that in South America, Latin America, very good in countries like the Philippines and Sri Lanka. Are very strong in, let's say, bookkeeping, accounting, and they'll work globally. So it gives us that strength to go, depending on what you're looking for, we know the locations, we've been operating there, we've got people on the ground, we can get you the best people for each role that you're looking for.
You bring up two considerations and very important considerations, Adam, which is language and time zones. Those are two of the more obvious considerations. What are some of the other considerations? I'm a tech junkie, Adam, so my mind goes immediately to like what tools set up a remote workplace environment. I'm thinking Slack and Trello or Asana, all those typical tools that we're all used to. But aside from just those elements, what are some of those considerations?
Yeah, well, I mean, at a high level, some of the things that you talk about is someone's got to have strong internet as a starting point, and someone's got to have very reliable power. So that's, and again, because we have the knowledge of the countries that we operate in, we know the areas within those countries to hire people that have high levels of reliability in both those things. In terms of the tools and technology, et cetera, for them to use, the way to look at it, and this is what we tell our clients, it's not that we go to our clients and say, hey, we recommend that you utilize this product that we think is great. It's the other way around. We're getting you an agent that should fit into your business and actually should be treated no different to any other staff member that you have locally. It's just they're on the other side of the world. But they should have the same metrics, same KPIs, be held to the same standard. It's not that, I'm paying this person $7 an hour, therefore I should give them some leeway on performance. No. That person is taking a role that you could have hired locally. They should perform to the same standard, if not better. And so the idea is treat them the same way, have the same metrics, incorporate the same technology that you use locally will help you deploy that globally. So that's the way to look at it. And sure, Slack, Asana, Trello, project management tools are great, but use what you're comfortable with and we'll help integrate it into the agent that you use.
Yeah, I'm really grateful you called that out. It's a conversation you and I have had before, Adam, off the airs, when we talk about how beautiful business is. I think you and I both believe in business as a force for good worldwide, not just in the industries that we're all in. To that point, so you and I are talking from opposite sides of the world right now. I'm here in the United States, and it's a big thing. People like to say, oh, made in America, hire in America. But of course, here we are talking about the global marketplace, and some people might hear these numbers and say, $5 an hour, like what type of labor conditions are we looking at? But of course, cost of living is different all around the world. I was an economics major, so I'd love to talk about purchasing power parity, but we're not going to get that nerdy here together today, Adam. But I'd love for you to talk about that, because BruntWork, from everything I've seen from the outside and the inside, is it benefits everybody within your ecosystem. It's a win-win-win all around. I'd love to hear your perspective on how intentional you've all been about setting that up.
Very intentional. And it goes, look, we made a commitment that we don't hire anyone below what we call the living wage in any country that we operate in as an absolute minimum. In fact, we hire only above that. So, a lot of our competitors, and you can see on Upwork, will go below the $5 an hour rate range. We won't for that reason. And we're very committed to that. We're committed to the Modern Slavery Act that we have a policy on. But beyond paying people well, and when you talk about making people happy and proud to be part of a company, yes, they need to be paid well. They need to be paid on time. That's a given. The other part is you need to have a life. And the really big factor for us was I lived in the Philippines for 3 years. And a lot of people from the US or Australia or wherever you're listening this to in the Western world, when you talk about bad traffic, I know it's difficult. It probably means your commute's an hour and you're driving in your Tesla and listening to a nice podcast while you're stuck in traffic, and it's frustrating. And I get it. But in the developing world, the average time it took for our staff to get to the office was 2.5 hours each direction. Average time, right? People took 4 hours. People took 5 hours each direction. Absolute truth. And you're not in a Tesla. You're not even in a little Kia. You're in the back of a jeepney with 20 other people squashed in. You can't have a phone out or it's probably going to get stolen. It's probably raining heavily outside. And you've been waiting in a queue for 40 minutes to even get on that jeepney in the first place. So what's your life? You're traveling 5 hours a day. You're working 9 hours a day. What else have you got in your life? And you're probably supporting multiple kids and family, et cetera, as well. And so the biggest thing intentionally for us is pay people well, pay people on time. That's a given. Set them up well at home. But it gives them 5 hours of their life back. 5 hours. That's 20 hours a week that they are not doing absolutely zero productivity in their daily commute. And I've had, we've got thousands of staff that work for us, literally thousands. Every time I go to the Philippines or Colombia, it's people of our staff that are crying and saying, this has changed my life more than anything else because I actually get to see my kids. I couldn't before. We had someone that was traveling 6 hours. I'm sorry, it was 5 hours, 4 to 5 hours each direction for their previous job before us. So 10 hours a day, a 9-hour shift. Then, like, what else have you got? Where do you sleep? You sleep on the transport. So, look, in terms of what we do and our staff, if anyone goes to Glassdoor, we've got 700 plus reviews of agents that work for us that will say it better than I do.
Yeah. I love that point, those points that you made there, Adam. We don't talk about it, which hearing you talk about it as, you know, obviously hosting the show, but also I've been an entrepreneur for 16 years. We all know what we value as business owners, as entrepreneurs, and it's freedom. But why societally do we not talk about the freedom that we give to employees? This shouldn't be reserved merely for the business owners. And so hearing that, yeah, enabling remote work and bringing them, being a bridge for companies across the world, you're right. You're also enabling employees, freelancers, whatever we want to label them, with that same very freedom. So I love that perspective. Adam, I don't know who told you that I drive a Tesla and I listen to podcast episodes when I'm stuck in traffic, but now I'm going to think of you next time that's happening. So shots fired there. I want to ask you this because I really respect you. And one of the reasons why I'm so excited to have you on the air is not just because I respect the work that you do with BruntWork, but I really respect and admire your business mind as well. And so that's why I want to tap into that while we're here together today, because you've grown successful businesses. BruntWork is one such example of that. When's the right time to start hiring, to start outsourcing? I feel like it's such a pivotal moment in everyone's entrepreneurial growth journey, and it's hard to know when that time is right.
Yeah, I mean, this is one of the things. So I even though we have thousands of staff and I'm very busy running the business, I jump on sales calls every day. I make it a point to jump on sales calls every day because I love talking to businesses that are about to go through that journey. And I've seen a lot of clients, even that I've dealt with personally, have started with one person part-time and now have 50 staff. And it's been the power of outsourcing that's allowed them to grow. And what people should realize in business is that the value of your time, what you can spend actually building revenue, doing the things that matter in a business, that you're spending time at the equivalent of $6 an hour, which is what you could probably get someone to do that job for, or $7 an hour or $8 an hour. But you're pricing yourself at that rate range because you don't want to spend the money on someone to do it. But that means you're not able to do the tasks that are actually going to scale your business. And when people get that mind shift going, oh, really? I'm valued at $7 an hour. Well, yes, you are, because that's what I could find someone to do 50% of the work that you're doing now. And you're not able to grow because you don't have the time to go out there and network and sell and do the strategy and do the things that really matter because you're so bogged down with everything else that you could get someone at $7 an hour probably to do even better than you are doing it because they're experts in it. So once you get that realization, and once you then, you talked about it before in your last comment, but if you take the commute out of someone, you've got a specialist that's then working at home and you treat them as part of your team, you've then got someone extraordinarily loyal working for you who's going to go above and beyond and help you scale. And that's what you want. That's really the secret. When you start tapping into that, that's when I really see the magic happen in business. And it's that mind shift that people really have to have. And you've got to also learn how to delegate, how to manage remotely. And we help with that too, but you've got to get yourself out of, I'm the solo entrepreneur and I'm doing everything. So I really want this business to grow. I need help. And this is a very cost effective way to do it.
Yeah. Adam, again, it's fun for me because I get to tap into your mind as a fellow executive of your own business, but also as the BruntWork specialist. So go into some of those things, the delegation, the management, onboarding someone as a team, because hiring's one thing, keeping talent and embedding them in your team is another thing. I'd love to hear some insights and strategies there.
Yeah. Look, the key thing to me, and I mentioned it before, is that you've got to treat someone remotely as you would someone who was sitting next to you in the room. So you've got to manage things. I said, when people often go, oh, well, it's $6 an hour, I'm going to have to micromanage them and I'm going to have to treat them like a kid. And these are specialists. These are university educated, to the most part, educated people that understand what they're doing. And when you go into a job, the last thing that you want, and these are the issues, this is some of the issues I have with the call centers and the office, with like the BPO industry in how it's run, is you have these team leaders that go up and down behind the staff, peering over their shoulder. What are you doing here? What are you doing there? What are you doing? Without any sense of trust. And if you try to run a business like that, those people are just going to feel intimidated and leave. There's no level of trust. So my view is, you're hiring specialists, you're hiring educated people. Be very clear with outcome. Be very clear with deadlines. Be very clear with process. And then have the trust to have the person do the job. And that's when you'll really see the magic. So in terms of getting people to understand that, and again, culturally, sure, you're paying someone at $6 an hour. They're not a kid. They're not less intelligent. Handle everyone with respect. And again, you'll get that loyalty. And we'll help you with that. We help with onboarding and some of those management. But manage by output, not by time, is my biggest recommendation out of that.
Yeah, I love that. I'm going to tag on another word because I think it's so important. You talk about treating everybody with respect, of course. And I think one key ingredient, just having hired people myself as well, is empowerment. We also need to empower them. We are hiring them for a reason. It's not we're hiring them so we can oversee every single thing that they do. We're hiring them so they're empowered to do their job so we can focus on other things. And I think that's such an important takeaway. Adam, with that in mind, you brought it up earlier and I can't believe I let it slip. I want to hear a little bit more about how AI is affecting this, because I'm just thinking from a labor standpoint, a lot of people think, well, I'm just going to have an army of AI chatbots that's going to do all the work for me. But I love the way that you're augmenting human operations and strategic, smart business decisions with AI. Talk to us about how AI is playing into all this stuff that you're doing.
Well, here's my prediction, Brian, on that. Those businesses that implement outsourcing, so they get an educated, lower cost base in the work that needs to be managed by people, and AI technology, both are going to have an enormous competitive advantage coming in. And this is starting now. And our business, and we're an outsourcing company, we have not reduced our staff at all. In fact, we can't hire enough people in our internal team, and we're very AI focused. So utilizing, and I travel a lot, looking at the most cutting edge AI technology from the US, from other parts of the world that we implement. And to me, what AI with a person enables it, like them to be a super person. And we see that in a lot of ways. Like even in my own internal sales team, utilizing some amazing AI tools, my sales team's able to double their revenue per agent. Not by me adding on staff, by me adding on technology that enables them to do things better, QA tools, email tools, ways that then integrates with our recruiting system. So what AI does is take a $7 an hour person or a $6 an hour person and give them the ability to be better than someone locally that doesn't have that at $100 an hour, $70. And we've seen that in the legal profession. We've got law graduates in the US in competition with $6 an hour people in the Philippines with the right technology, blind studies sending submissions to partners, and the results are astounding. So I think there's going to be a shift. I think it's two together. Yes, AI in itself will take some parts of it, but that means you've got good people that can do other things. And, someone at these price points, they're very capable. So it might replace them on the live chat, but you still need someone to do the escalations, to do it. It means they can focus on the things that matter. So I think it's that's the combination to really look out for.
Yeah, very well said, Adam, because I think that advice that you just laid on us, I love extrapolating things. And I'm just like, that's sound business advice that you just gave us. AI is enabling. People are talking about that replacing word. I don't like when people talk about AI replacing things. It's just shifting it. And you're showing that whether we're talking about labor, whether we're talking about growth and just business strategy as a whole. I love hearing your perspective on that. Let me ask you about the future of BruntWork then. It's actually something I don't think you and I have ever had this conversation off the air. What are you all looking at for 2025 and beyond as far as what's BruntWork's impact going to be on a bigger scale?
Look, when you've met with staff that you've made a difference to, and again, in the developing world, it's not just like they get 5 hours of their life back with the commute to work, which is substantial in itself. But when you're able to pay someone really well, the truth is they're supporting a village. The multiplier effect of helping someone in the developing world is so much more than hiring locally. So you've got your staff that are supporting not only their immediate families, but generally it's the grandparents. Our staff get private health insurance. They're able to have dependents, etc. on that. In the developing world, healthcare is expensive and out of reach for most people. So the motivation for us is the faster we can grow, the more people we can help. And that's in 23 countries now where we are. And the demand is there from businesses, particularly in North America, that need this that in order to compete. And it doesn't contradict where things are going in terms of, we need a manufacturing base, or we need things and we need to bring things back internally. There can be a balance of that. But you also need to be competitive globally, and this is a great way to support that. So the challenge with a lot of these roles that people are looking to find is, if you're in a regional town, where do you find someone who's got the capability? You've got to go remote in one way or another. So why not get the best in the world? So that's where we're going. I said we're more than 2,000 companies now that we support with staffing levels from a part-time person to several hundred staff for our largest clients, and anything in between. So we intend for a very big 2025.
Yeah, I love that, Adam. I'm going to publicly call you out on the air because I've had the pleasure of talking to you off the air as well. And here's what I really respect about you and BruntWork and your mission. I'm going to lump that into the conversation, is that I've long believed, ever since I was a 19-year-old entrepreneur, very naive in the world, thinking everybody needed to be on social media and do marketing. The one thing I firmly believed, though, is that when you have a product or service that makes the world better, you have an obligation to grow. You have an obligation, not to yourself, but to the world, to get that out there. And Adam, I will just say, as someone who has the great pleasure of knowing you and you're in my entrepreneurial network, it's very clear to me that you view growth as an obligation because of all the things that we've talked about today and because of your mission. So I really respect that. I'm really excited to hear where you take this last question, because I love asking it at the end of episodes. It's super broad, and I don't even know where you're going to go with it. And that is your one best piece of advice, knowing that we're being listened to by entrepreneurs and entrepreneurs all over the world in over 150 countries, which is really cool because BruntWork also has that sort of global impact. What's that one takeaway that you want to impart on all of these entrepreneurs out there?
Wow, that is a broad. You weren't lying when you said that's a broad question, but it comes back to, if you are in business, and you said it about me, but I'm saying it to everyone else. If you have a passion for what you're doing, if what you're doing is contributing good to the world, you've got an obligation to grow it. And in order to grow it, the way that I've seen companies, and I said I look at 2,000 of them that currently are clients, let alone the ones that have been clients. So we see this at scale. The ones that adopt the best people globally, you're going to get the best results. And people are what make businesses scale. So if you can look at, I need the best people in order to help me, you're going to scale faster, you're going to grow faster, you're going to be more profitable, and you're going to be able to contribute what you do to more people. So in terms of what I look at, plus you're doing good for the world, in my view. And again, if more people did business cross-border and had great experiences, less issues would happen. Well, I think business is a good way of bringing the world together, because you see the good in people, and what's motivated. There are good people everywhere. We have staff from Pakistan to Africa to Bangladesh to the Philippines to Colombia and Brazil and everywhere in between. So you see the good in everyone when that happens. And I think the advice that I would give to businesses is find the best people. Don't do the job that you're not good at. You're in there to grow your business. You're in there to do the things that matter. Use outsourcing, adopt AI as well as much as you can to help turbocharge them, and that'll help you scale.
Yes, Adam, you are so preaching to the choir. It's why you are such a valued member of the global entrepreneur to entrepreneur community, because you're right. This stuff goes far beyond just business. This is the impact that we're all having on the world. So I really appreciate BruntWork's role in being one of those catalysts for so many businesses. So at this point, the only thing you owe us, Adam, is you've got to drop some links on us. Where should listeners go from here?
Sure. So obviously our website is bruntwork.co. LinkedIn, you can see me at just Adam Pisk, Pisk. And you can email me directly, adam@bruntwork.co. I'm happy for you to just reach out directly to my email address. And look, if you do mention this podcast, we'll give you a $500 credit off your first invoice. So that's a pretty risk-free way of testing this out. $500 credit if you try us and mention Brian.
Heck yeah. Adam, you didn't even tell me that spoiler alert before we hit record here today. I'm so
Just
appreciative of that.
But now it's said on live on air, and I'm going to honor it.
Heck yeah. I so appreciate that. Listeners, you know the drill. We are making all of those things as easy to find as possible down below in the show notes, no matter where it is that you're tuning into today's episode, including Adam's very generous offer. Honestly, if you've been on the fence, not only should today's episode be that little push over to invite you to actually outsource anything and just try it, but also Adam has truly given you a risk-free way to do that. And I'm just going to interject. You don't want to do it alone. You don't want to figure it out on your own and experiment and waste money doing that. You want experts like the team at BruntWork and a very extensive team of subject matter experts as well, setting you up for success in your own business. So definitely check those links out down below in the show notes. Otherwise, Adam, on behalf of myself and all the listeners worldwide, thanks so much for coming on the show today.
Thanks, Brian. I'm going to have that offer expire at the end of 2024. So there's some time pressure for you guys to do it, but Take it up. Brian, I always appreciate your time. Thank you for all the kind words through the podcast as well. And thanks for having me on again. I appreciate it. Thanks for staying up late. Your time.